Alright, here we are back at the sink for another session of honing and hones and razors and penguins and what have you. Let me get these guys out of the way. So put them over on the side so they're safe. We have a stone, we have a razor. The razor is nothing special. It's just some, I don't know what it is, to be honest. Let me see what it says here on the tank. Best quality razor. So you know it's good, right? Has hallmarks that look Sheffield in nature, but I don't know, man. Whatever. Plastic scales, 5/8, a little bit more maybe. A little bit of a smile, hollow grind, a little heavier than some hollows, but not really like what I would call heavy. Has stabilizer. Nothing great, but it shaves, and I use it for testing and what have you. So that's over there. What do we have here? Today's stone. We have this alleged Lyn Idwal. Okay, so a UK stone. And you almost never see them boxed, right? Now if you can see the pattern in there it's under the main color. So maybe I wet it a little bit. See a little bit more of the patterning. Alright, so came from the UK. Came from a guy who used them in the course of doing his business. He was like a cabinet maker, I guess. It was sold as a Lyn Idwal. So I believe it to be a Lyn Idwal, right? It's cut for a hone, right? It's very nice. See back here you have a little bit of like a cleavage line, you know, and we see that in some stones of this nature. And the nature, you know, people call these novaculite. You have to understand what novaculite is, all right? Novaculite is a varietal stone. It's not an element. It's not some kind of pure thing. You can have novaculite from many locations, many different variations, different grain sizes, so on and so forth. The word novaculite comes from the Latin novacula, which means razor or sharp knife. Through history, people started doing the mineralogy thing, trying to make things easier to understand. You had Linnaeus, Leski, both referred to stones for razors as novacular stones. Kirwan referred to a turkey stone as novaculite. And since then, you know, that was like a long time ago, actually, 1700s. Roll tape over the next 100 years. Science develops, you get to the geological studies in Arkansas, you have Griswold, you have Ashley, you have all types of people pumping out all types of data. Science has gotten better, tools have gotten better, analyzing has gotten better, and at that point, Griswold wanted to make novaculite this one single thing term, and geologists weren't down with it because of the variation. So you'll read where geologists will say like the term has been misused, but we just go along with it because changing the course at this point would just not work. So they kind of gave up. But it is a catch-all term, and it's useful for us because, you know, Kirwan was talking about a stone for a razor. He wasn't talking about what Griswold was talking about when he said that, you know, these stones were a rebedded chert and they are void of silica in the form of marganite, that they're predominantly polygonal tri-point. Actually, I don't even know if that was Griswold. It might have come later. But, you know, back in Kirwan's time, it was novacular stone, the razor stone. This was smooth and fine, and it was dense, and they knew the specific gravity, and they had some ideas and what have you. But the science developed until today. You know, there are still studies going on. And recent studies analyzing these with NAA, neutron bombardment, you know, yields all kinds of stories. And the last thing that I read was that the area around Hot Springs, where Arkansas stones come from, produces novaculite. There's so many variations that they just stopped doing anything and want to like sort of regroup and then come back to it. So, and here's another one. Here's another Arkansas stone, right? The translucent. This one is a so-called surgical black from Prada, and this is, you know, the topic for today's study, the lovely Llyn Idwal. But they're not all the same, you know. This is clearly a better stone, better hone. It's a better razor hone. It puts on a better finish. It's finer. It's, you know, something that, you know, you just want to like take a listen for a second. You know, you have, you know, this guy, listen, right? And then I take a little bit of a difference, right? Now, listen to this guy. What does that mean? It doesn't mean anything in and of itself, but it just tells you that there's some sort of, you know, difference going on here. Someone's going to say, well, it's a small hone, it's thinner, this and that, blah, 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 blah. What matters most, okay, is whether or not the stone works for you as a razor stone. All this stuff, you know, there's a lot of buzz about specific gravity. This will have probably a slightly higher specific gravity than this. This is still a better razor stone. So this brouhaha about specific gravity is like for naught, really. But, you know, internet is what it is. You have a lot of people trying to flex and be the guy that knows the most about everything. So we have this, wet it down. Yes, specific gravity here would probably be pushing 2.7. The black arc would probably be, you know, 2.6. That jump in the editing was because I had to stop and go tighten the pivot. It's flopping around. You know, let me do this. Help stop the stone from swimming. All right, so very smooth, very light texture in the feedback, more like a satiny type of feeling. Very wispy, very easy going. It's faster than a typical Arkansas stone. Now, mind you, I don't know what the makeup is. I don't know what the crystalline structure in here is. I don't know what the impurities are. I haven't really gotten into it. I think people that go the geology route in the shaving forums, it's kind of like defeating because none of that really helps you hone. You know, it doesn't make your edge better, right? I'm only pointing it out because, you know, some people, they get used to seeing that type of chatter. Oh, what's it made out of? What's the purity? What's the density? What's the, you know. And short form on that is, I don't know. The addendum to that is, I'll be honest, I really don't give a rat's ass. I think all of the circle jerking about specific gravity and all of this, and, you know, like, is it 99% silica? Is it 99.5? Is the coloration caused by chromium or carbon or iron or hematite? You know, it's kind of interesting, but kind of pointless at the same time. That guy Hank Booz wrote like some interesting papers and included a lot of, you know, scientific data that he compiled from other sources. I don't know how much of it, like, he actually, you know, found out through his own investigation. Like, for example, me, I haven't analyzed a single Arkansas stone. I don't have access to the machinery or what have you. Have a little dip in the stone there, it seems. Need a little bit of a roll on this blade. Feel is good. Now, I've used this on several razors, and I can tell you that it puts a shaving edge on a blade. I will also tell you that this translucent Arkansas stone kind of blows it out of the water. Okay, and just, you know, take that for what it's worth. It's like you can't really measure that. You know, historically, when Arkansas stones started to be mined commercially and made available to the world in large numbers, people flocked to them like crazy. And they became the quick favorite. And documentation mentions that they were the superior stone. Sure, a lot of people loved their Lyns and their Chons and their what have yous and stuck with them. But, oh, that was oil, by the way. That's my honing oil that I sell in my Etsy store. It's water soluble, cleans up, doesn't really creep into stones so much. There's no petroleum products, it's all natural. Now you see with the addition of oil, the wispiness is quieter, but it's still there. The oil doesn't make the stone finer, it just reduces the friction coefficient, so it's kind of like emulating a lighter touch. So it doesn't really make a sharper edge, it just allows you to sort of cheat gravity a little bit. Get a look at the stone, see all the what I have used. Very nice stone to hone on, very easy to work with. Really only a finisher. If you coarse it up, you get like a little more activity out of it. So like if this was taken down a notch or two, you could speed it up and work more easily with cutlery. And I'm not the guy who needs a high polished edge on a kitchen knife because I'm going to beat it up. Anyway, so you know this is you know the Grecian hone they call it, and I think the Grecian hone, I think the name came from a retailer called Howarth or Hogwarth or something like that. So I don't know what the Grecian thing meant. Most of those stones that I've seen are a little more glassy than this. I think the glassier variations of these actually give you a little bit of bump of refinement, but not enough for me to like want to seek one out because I don't think it's going to change my life. Well, I've had them and they didn't. Nice stones, good stones, they work, but you know, it's like, you know, the thing with razors and forums and shaving and groups, and you know, everybody wants to be like a geologist and they all want to regurgitate Hank Booth's writings and they all want to sound good and stuff. Like all I want to do is like hone an edge, you know, that's all I want. So I just put some, what do you call it, oil on this arc. And I don't know if you can tell, but there's no wispiness. It's like almost dead. This is infinitely slower than the Lyn. So if I was going to like knock this out as a finished edge on this black arc, and I might just do that actually after the video's done, what I would do is, I mean, the Lyn makes a perfect prep for it. It's a nice setup for this. Typically I would use like an Escher to set up for an arc because I find that the two, like, the edge left by the Escher seems to like really favor going to the arc. I don't know how to explain it, but that's just what I found over time. So anyway, these are slow, painfully slow, like ridiculously so. I'd be here for a long time. I would do like a really like a lot of laps, and I wouldn't count. I would just do it until I like felt that like thing that I would feel. But there's like zero texture here, right? That's my point. I'm just showing you the feel of what we call Arkansas novaculite, the finishing stone. Remember, there are novaculites from Arkansas and Texas and Ohio that are not finishing grade. They're still called novaculite. They test with all types of impurities and all types of densities, and it's all over the place. And novaculite isn't just a one single thing. So know that, okay? You want to get a nice finishing stone, you go and you buy from Prater a surgical black arc, you go to Dan's and you buy an ultrafine black arc or a translucent arc, or you go and find, you know, one of these vintage Pike jammies, translucents, you know, you're doing well, right? if you're going to take it home and start like weighing it and weighing it in water and dividing it so you get specific gravity, and then running online and trying to like, you know, figure out who's got the finest stone based on whatever specific gravity, you're just going to make yourself nuts. You're not going to prove anything. All right, so that's it. The quick look at the Lyn Idwal, you know. Let me move that out of the way. Let me put the star of the show back in the shot. You know. Nice stone. Very nice stone. That was the only finisher I had. I could live with it. The razor, meh. Penguins, they rule. Surgical black arc, that's the bomb. But I just wanted to show off the Lyn Idwal. Anyway, listen. All of this honing jazz, it's all about having fun. That's all it is. Get your stones out, hone some edges, have some nice shaves. That's all that really matters. So the most important thing is having fun. Until next time, take care. Talk to you soon.